Welcome in, everyone. I'm Kathy Mock, Board of Education member. And on behalf of the Board of Education and Falcon Media, we are excited to be presenting a very special video presentation that highlights the accomplishments of our amazing Fitch Falcon alumni. And we will be doing these presentations periodically. And today we are most fortunate to have Bethany Benyo-Carlson, who is one of our premier presentations for Falcon Media Spotlight. So, Bethany, tell us when you graduated from Austintown Fitch.
Well, first, thank you for selecting me and reaching out. It's an honor to be here. I graduated in 1991, so we were a pretty large class.
So, while you were at Austintown Fitch, what were the activities you participated in, those extracurriculars that always kind of mold us for our world of work?
I came into Fitch as a gymnast. I was a competitive gymnast outside of school and was very fortunate. We were the last team around here. We had to travel to Cleveland for all of our competitions, so it was kind of a win-win being a gymnast outside of school. It's an individual sport. I was able to join a team and be a collective group, which was really great. I was able to establish some friendships I still have today. And then I did try a little bit of tennis as well at one point, but mainly gymnastics. It really took a lot of your time all year round.
But I know something very special about you. You were inducted into the Athletic Hall of Fame. So you want to talk about that a little bit and what that experience was like for you?
Sure, it was very humbling. I was very fortunate to go on and do gymnastics at Bowling Green for 2 years. And then when I came back, I was actually working here in the district when I was nominated. It was humbling. We were a really good team. The team did a great job. So to be highlighted for that and to have that award, so to be able to come and speak and be honored at a football game and then the ceremony, it's even better because I have a brother and my brothers and my father. It's kind of, we're all in there now. So we've all kind of had some highlights, and that to me is even a bigger advantage to being in a big district. My family was involved in the district, so then we were all honored and through the Hall of Fame. So that was kind of neat.
And also, I always thought it was so very important that we had women inductees into the Hall of Fame. And a question, and I had the honor of interviewing you there as well. I always ask the female inductees, what advice would you give to a young woman who's even considering going into athletics of some sort?
It gives you an advantage of how to deal and work with adversity, not because you're a woman, but just sports. It puts you out there in a different light. It puts you in a different community basis. It puts you out where you have to speak up. You have to maybe be interviewed. So, things that sometimes we women don't like to be. We like to be workhorses. We like to kind of be behind the scenes. Being an athlete puts you out there. So it does kind of help you decide then what kind of job do you want to be? What kind of person do you want to be when you grow up? And you're more confident in yourself then to put yourself out there out in the real world.
And being a gymnast, oh my goodness, that's a very rigorous sport, a lot of unglamorous work.
Yes, it was a lot of long hours in the gym. A lot of people don't realize to be at a level that competes in the private club in college. It's 5 to 6 days a week for 4 to 6 hours a day. Summer, we talk about football has 2-a-days in that small window. Summer's 2-a-days for gymnastics a lot of times. So yeah, it was. But you know what? It was a great journey. It was an adventure. I got to go a lot of places, do a lot of things, and wouldn't give it up for the world.
And probably really instilled that work ethic in what you are doing today.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Oh yes, goal setting. It's once you attain one thing, you reach for the next goal.
So let me ask you this: when you were at Austintown Fitch schools, would you say there was anybody in particular or an event that inspired you to take the career path that you chose?
It's a little bit of school and a little bit of being a gymnast. I was one of the older gymnasts all the time, so I was kind of like the mother hen to a lot of them. And then even did some coaching along the way and kind of got a taste for teaching. And then when I became a gymnast here with the team, it kind of still continued. But I'm sure a lot of people will say this along the way if they had the pleasure of knowing him. But there's 2 teachers that had an impact on me. Mr. Marino did, and it wasn't necessarily, it's really kind of cool that I've got this Greek mythology knowledge that other people maybe do not. but it was his way of teaching. It was his engagement. I'm a huge proponent of student engagement in education, and he did it, and he just naturally made it. You didn't want to miss his class. He commanded respect in a great, loving, compassionate way. And then on the flip side, Mr. Pickens, I had the pleasure of having him, and he was the toughest teacher I've had in all of my career as an educator and in schooling. High expectations. I'll be honest, I was one of those kids who went, I'm not going to make it through this class, and he talked me through it, and it was a good thing I had him, but he, on the flip side, also showed how to set those high expectations and how to encourage kids and not give up on kids.
So Mr. Marino that you mentioned, who taught the Greek mythology class,
Yes.
our son had him, and he graduated in 2006, and he loved him as well.
It's
So it made it so interesting.
He did. He really did.
So you kind of like mentioned your career path, but tell us what vocation you're in and how you arrived at where you are today.
If you look at my college transcripts, you'll laugh at how I arrived there. I started out as a special education major, focusing on the severe behavioral handicap, and about a year in, just realized I think I wanted to just broaden, and I switched just to all education. I was doing being able to be certified first grade through 8th, and I was going to add the special ed on and just really focus on that. Unfortunately, I got injured and had to quit gymnastics, and I think the reality of my free travel and my free exploring the world came to a head, and I switched to business, and I was going to do that. To my last year at Bowling Green, I was still a business major. When I came home, I was a true 21-year-old who didn't know what she wanted to be, had not finished my degree, so I had enrolled in YSU and took a sampling of classes, business, art, education, and came home, and within 2 weeks looked at my mom, I'm like, I'm just going to finish my education degree because everything just took me back there. I returned to coaching. So I was very fortunate. I started my career out in Columbus City Schools, had an amazing opportunity to teach in elementary and a middle school, go through some principal and training program that they have there. And then when I returned home, door opened at Frankel at the time when we had just consolidated the 4th and 5th to be a literacy coach. And then another door opened the next year for an assistant job here to be a principal with Mr. Rice.
Right.
So I was very fortunate to be in the building and be here when we were starting to construct the new buildings and be a part of that. It is really awesome to come back on campus and see those buildings final. And then right when we opened the buildings, I had yet another opportunity to move into central office and focus more on the curriculum and some of the federal programs oversight, which led me to another job offer in Struthers City Schools, working in the elementary school, kind of returning to my, I do like the little kids. I enjoy reading. I enjoy being on the ground with the kids, getting them excited about education. But I was a principal out there for about 5 years before I landed in my present job, which I am the superintendent at South Range Schools now. So I'm very, very fortunate to be in a school district where my son actually graduated from my first year there.
Yeah. So an amazing career path. You've got quite the story, quite the story. So, you know, outside of that work stuff, what do you like to
time?
What do you like to do for fun? Do you have a hobby or something that you do to kind of just like de-stress from
I
what
do.
you do?
I love to read, which
Okay.
you know that, and it's because you never really, as an educator, and I know you can recall, have that time to pick up a book that has nothing to do with what you need to be learning. Sadly, I'm a forever student. I'm back in school to get my doctorate, so I actually enjoy that. So some of that is being able to check out of my job, but continue to grow and learn. But I have a son who is in college. So one of my new hobbies is anytime I have a chance, I do like to just be driving the cart and watching him golf or walking behind him. And otherwise, my husband and I are home we have 2 dogs and a cat, and we live out in the country and just kind of doing little crafts. We're renovating our house, so that takes up a lot of our time.
So don't want to pick up the golf club? Haven't got the itch for that yet?
I tried when I quit gymnastics, and I had a golf pro from Bowling Green working with me, and no, it's
Never say
gymnastics. No, it won't go where it's supposed to go.
Okay. Okay. So tell us about your family, which, I know quite a few of them, amazing, but tell us about your family.
My family is amazing. They've been my rock through all of my journeys. I'm very, very blessed to have been raised on a small hobby farm here in Austintown. Grew up looking at Manda Reservoir every day. It was wonderful. 2 older brothers who also graduated from Fitch. Both of my parents graduated from Fitch. They've always been here. We talk about work ethic with gymnastics. My parents instilled that in us just by being who they are.
Right.
But yeah, my father had steel company, my brothers do. So we always all kind of tended to just gravitate towards that next move. But yeah, an amazing family who, my parents and my one brother still live here in Austintown, and then my other brother's in Western Reserve where I live next to him. So we joke we have compound north and compound south in the area. So.
Yeah. And both of your brothers and even your father were school board members at one time, correct?
Correct. My dad and Alex were here in Austintown, and my brother Brian out in Western Reserve.
Yeah. So very philanthropic, very givers to their communities in which they live.
And do you remember back when at Woodside we had where the volunteers were coming in for reading?
I do.
My mom was part of that too.
Okay, so there it is.
She was,
There it is. So that's kind of a perfect segue. So what would you tell someone in our wonderful Austintown community? What could they do to give back to the community? What advice?
You know, it scares people when you say that. How are you going to give back? Because people just think it's going to be labor intensive and take up a lot of your time. But even just keeping up on knowing what the school is doing, what the kids are doing, where the kids are going, you never know. You might have just a day that you say, hey, I can help with that. But so often we go to work, we come home, we shut our door, and we forget to see what's going on around us and what's offered to us. So making sure they stay connected to the school district, what's happening here, attend an event occasionally. You might find that you can give back to your school because someday you may need the school and the property. But you know, I think the big thing is for people to realize schools are the center point and they are what makes a community. So we just need to make sure that we don't disconnect. Unfortunately, with what we've all dealt with in the last few years, there has been a disconnect. So I would encourage people just to keep an eye on the website, look at what's going on, attend something. Our music department here, I know, has always been fabulous and continues in the events. My niece was in some of the plays and singing. So coming and watching that and just even participating in those kind of things and cheering on the athletics as well it gets you involved, it gets you here, and it makes you knowledgeable.
I always say whenever I drive through the campus, which is quite often, there's always something going on. And several weeks ago, just splashed on the front page of the Vindicator was a beautiful color picture of our choir celebrating 50 years because of their service to the veterans. Which is wonderful.
And what they've done on campus here for the military and the veterans is worth coming just to walk on campus to see.
Very much so. So let's talk too about you and your husband, Eric. I know that you are giving back in a big way. Tell our viewers what you're doing. You're not just thinking about where you live or where you attended school. You're thinking bigger than that. So what is it you're taking on, you and your husband?
Our big love is United Way. As you know, you and I have been connected beyond the school through United Way. And how United Way helps the school and the kids. So I think I always had that love of helping you guys out, making sure that we do the capital campaigns through the schools and everything. And then my husband became connected with all of you through some different avenues. And Saturday Day of Caring, he does some other things. We just continue to grow in loving all of you and wanting to help the community and being an active member with United Way. So I know all of you got him on the board, which was step one, and you know, he is running with it, and he's made me see how important it is to even, like you said, beyond our community, beyond even just the school. So we are actively involved with United Way with the Saturday Day Carings, the new volunteer center, capital campaign. So yeah, this year's going to be a really busy year for us, but it's worth it seeing what United Way gives back not just the schools, but the communities. And
Right. And I know that South Range, where you are the superintendent, brings the big yellow school bus with the kids to volunteer, which is good. So you're being a servant leader, both you and Eric. There was one other thing, too. I just think that it is important, and you referenced Saturday Cares, and that is something that reaches out across Mahoning County. I mean, I know I have even gone on one of those routes into Austintown, and it's very telling that all of us, all of our communities need that special support, I think, now more than ever. Now more than ever. Yeah.
No, it does. It's amazing to see the people who come to help, the kids who come to help, all the cars that drive through to pick up the stuff, deliver, come back to get more, and that continuation. It's a big feat, and you guys do a great job, but it's nice to be able to help.
And we're so proud that an Austintown alumni is really part of that. That's most important, and that's a good message to share with our viewers. This is a way, you know, that I'm giving back. I'm being that servant leader. So thank you so much, Bethany, for sharing your time with us. So I'm going to close out and just say that this is Kathy Mock signing off on behalf of the Austintown Board of Education and Falcon Media. And we hope that you will tune in to see another one of our special installments and stories of our amazing Fitch Falcon graduates. And as we like to say, go Falcons.